I'm April Hugh. I'm with Century 21 Hometown Realty.
And I'm Miko Nehman, also with Century 21 Hometown Realty. We have a special guest with us today, David from Fidelity National Title. He's the title officer. David Long.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Thanks for coming.
So how long have you been a title officer?
Forever. Title officer about 37, 38 years. Wow. And in the business, a little over 40. 42, I think, 43.
You know, in the past, I've had conversations with you, and it always amazes me how I'll give you an address, and you're like, I know that property, and it's like, how do you do that?
I don't know. It's something in my brain. I just remember the properties or the legal description or the people's names.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
Wow.
so yeah.
Wow,
I tend to get interesting ones.
Yes, you do. That's all right. We do interesting, so it's okay.
Yeah. Makes it interesting, right?
Yes, it does.
Now, how do you become a title officer?
Well, the title industry is one that is unique in that it doesn't require any schooling, so to speak, no college or anything like that. You can go right from high school into this field like I did. Okay. Most of the people in it get referred by a family member or a friend who are already in it. So you kind of fall into it that way, and it's all on the job. You can't learn it in a school. Okay. Similar to escrow, you can't learn escrow in a school. Right. You can't learn title in a school. It's hands-on doing it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so did someone kind of guide you then? You know, you said like a mentor or
Yes, yeah, I had my father-in-law was in title. Okay. So when I was going to marry his daughter, it's like, I better be able to do something. So I went in, here's a job. So I went into title, and you start at the bottom and kind of work your way up. Start doing a messenger or a file clerk or little things like that, and then you work your way up. And people mentor you along the way, each step.
Was that in California?
Yes, all in California. Before I came up here in '88. Okay. And prior to that, I was in Riverside, San Bernardino, so the Inland Empire area.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Great, that's really interesting, yeah.
All right.
So
can you tell us a little bit about the process? Like, okay, so an escrow is opened, or even sometimes, us agents will ask our escrow officer to go ahead and order the prelim even before we open escrow.
Yes, it can be open before, prior to having a buyer. So when you take the listing, a lot of times people will ask then for the title report. Right. So we will start that process then. Escrow initiates it, but then title is the one who prepares it. Okay. And the title report itself is going to give you a snapshot of what is currently on the property, who owns it, the taxes, easements, those sorts of things. Yeah.
So is that what you would call the preliminary title?
The preliminary title report, yes.
Okay.
So it gives you current condition of title.
Things that are recorded against the property.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
So liens and...
Yeah, any mortgages that people have on their properties, the easements, the CC&Rs, rights of ways, and any personal liens that someone might have, IRS or a child support judgment or a spousal judgment or whatever else, credit card debt or what have you. It all shows on the title.
Okay. And so all of that needs to be cleared off before it's transferred?
Before you can transfer to the buyer. So that's part of the process. You as the agent get the title report. You can review it, make sure that it matches with what you've been told. If you're listing agent, what you've been told is on the property. Escrow reviews it. Everybody reviews it to make sure there aren't any surprises. That the right people own the property who signed the listing agreement, because that is a big thing, as you guys know. You have to have the correct parties sign your listing agreement. And many times you have different people on title, and that can come as a surprise.
So we want to know that right up front so that there's no delays or, we can get it.
Always a great idea to read your title report when you get it.
So I just asked you a bunch of questions recently about that property that I just sold, and I was like, I've never even heard of some of this stuff. I was,
like
right?
What? Like what?
Oh, the bioremediation and things like that for the cleanup for oil Right.
There were all these
Oh,
easements on, I mean, I have never
wow.
seen so many easements on
Which
a
part?
title report. I don't know if we
Is it
should.
in lump? Oh,
No, it's
never mind.
here.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, it's in
Oh.
Orchid. But it had just easements that I've never seen, so I
Interesting.
reached out to him right away, and I need clarification.
It's always a good idea to read those.
Okay. Oh,
I always say the good agents read their title reports
Yeah.
quickly so that you can start addressing any issues that come up.
And then years ago, I sold a property, and the gas line, the gas meter, the people had put a gas meter in because it was an all-electric house. And remember, they put it on the neighbor's property? The gas
How-
company put it
they
on the
did?
neighbor's
How'd they
property.
get- how'd they-
And, oh, man.
Kind of a oops.
Remember, David, I was running around town, and every time I saw a gas guy, I'd stop him. I need help. Every time, Southern California Gas, until I got the right person, and they helped us because we had to get that off the property and get it on ours.
Oh
It
my
was
goodness.
crazy. I've never,
Crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are my
Well-
interesting ones.
Well, my neighbor, and I don't know if I told you this, but so my neighbor, the house next door sold, and she didn't know, I guess she did something with the driveway with cement. They did a pathway, and it ended up going on her side of the.
It encroached on the neighbors.
On her, and she's like, I know, it's like, I mean, we're talking about like this much, right? And so, but, I mean, but, you know.
That's her property.
That's her property, so she was wondering what she should do about that, and I'm like, well, I guess you need to, first of all, talk to the new owner about, you know, what you can do to
Right.
maybe make it right. And then, I don't know if there's, you know, recourse for her, or if she, you
So
know.
it's like a prescriptive easement in 7 years and all.
Yeah, if it's in place, already, that can be a little funky. But if it's small, if it's a small enough area, sometimes the best thing to do might be just for the owners just to say, okay, well, we understand, but if it's not causing the person any issue. But if it's larger, if it goes along the whole property line, and several feet in, then you're going to want it taken care of by either an easement or a lot line adjustment or some other means.
I see.
And sometimes the one person will give money to the person to settle it, and then they'll re-record it. I've seen that too.
So-
Yeah,
Pay money, you can say, okay, I'll let you keep it, but I want money from you, which is reasonable in a situation like that. And then you can grant the easement and make it formal and of record.
Okay, and does that process take a while?
It can take a little bit if you have to involve lenders, if there are lenders on the properties. The lenders sometimes need to be involved in that,
I see, right.
and that can be a little tricky.
All right.
well, you and I had that property that we listed together and sold, and remember the builder had the lot line incorrect, and I'll tell you about it later.
Okay,
You don't remember? You're supposed to read my mind at all times.
I
Miko and I remember them, I guess, I don't know. All the problem ones, right?
The interesting one.
Interesting ones, yes.
So now, when you, so you have the preliminary title report, and you review that and all of that, and then, so the title insurance, now, when you transfer the title to the new buyer, it's insured. And so, can you explain, you know, maybe the different levels of insurance that are typical?
Good question. There are different levels. You can get a basic CLTA policy, which is, in today's vernacular, like a no ups, no extras. It just ensures the ownership and any encumbrances. It's very, trying to think of how to explain it. It's very concise in that it just ensures your ownership and that you have certain rights of access to the property, and these are the only items on the property. And it doesn't really give you any other type of insurance. What's standard today is an out to homeowner's policy of title insurance, which expands the coverage and will provide buyers or the insured with coverage for unrecorded matters that are not of record, such as building permits for an addition. If there's an addition on a house and it ends up, the buyer finds out after escrow perhaps that it wasn't permitted, they can file a claim on their title insurance policy. So it's a good policy for buyers. A little scary for title sometimes because we're insuring things that we can't necessarily confirm. But we do our best with the sellers to disclose to us if they obtain permits for improvements or what have you. And it'll give you coverage for encroachments of improvements on your property, onto your neighbor's property, or your neighbor's improvements onto your property, excluding fences and boundary walls. So we're talking structure encroachments, like part of the house, part of the garage is very common. Part of a driveway, no. But structures that encroach over property lines, you can get coverage for that.
Okay.
And that does happen. I'm sure you guys have seen that. But fences and boundary walls,
Have you ever declined someone for the Alta coverage?
yes.
Okay,
Yes, we have. Yeah.
so it's not,
It's not across the board, and it's only for residential, single-family, 1 to 4
Okay.
properties. So if you have a commercial property or an apartment complex, more than five or more units, it doesn't qualify. If you have acreage
Okay.
out in the Tepisque Canyon or Los Alamos or somewhere like that
makes
outside of
sense.
the city,
Yeah.
it's not going to cover that.
Okay.
But it covers your cookie cutters, so to speak. Lot number such and such, tract number such and such, those types of properties. Yeah.
Wow, and so when you are, I've been reading about abstract of title, so isn't that something that really brings in, the absolute details of the title or what's,
I'm thinking that the abstract of title is similar to what we call here in California a preliminary title report.
Okay.
And that an abstract of title is what it may be called in other areas,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Because I don't do abstracts of title, I do the preliminary title report.
okay. I'm just, I was reading about it and I was thinking, gosh, I just want to kind of wrap my brain around what's the difference?
I think it's the same
Same thing.
thing.
Okay.
It's just
Okay.
called something different. Sometimes they're called commitments
Okay.
instead of preliminary title reports.
Thank you for
so,
clearing that up.
yeah, and then at the back of the items, there's all the boilerplated, can you explain?
There's a lot of boilerplate items, and there's having to do with what we cover and what we don't cover. And then there's also a note section for folks. And in notes, we usually put what we need from people. Like if people own title in a trust, which is very common, we need to see that trust. So we can confirm and you guys too, we can confirm that who we're dealing with are the current and correct trustees of that trust. So we have to call for the trust so we can see it, or a partnership, same thing. LLC, a corporation, we have to see whatever corporate papers they have. Make sure they're on record with Secretary of State and that they're legal, legit, all those sorts of things. So we put that in the notes sections.
Okay.
And then we gather that through the course of the escrow.
Great.
Wow, okay, and now, when you mentioned easements, encroachments, and utilities, and I remember when we had talked to you before, we had mentioned a couple of subdivisions, the Woodmere Villas and the Edgewood. Yes, so, and I was thinking, what was it that he was talking about? Because it was interesting.
They're very different, and they're the only two like it here in North County. And we call them a Zlot.
Zlot, okay.
So
That's,
you just picture a Z in your head, and it's got part that goes over to the left, part that goes over to the right, and it's zigzag in the middle. So it has to do with small lots, trying to make small lots appear bigger and be more useful to the people who actually are living in the home. So you'll have your lot in the middle with your home on it, and then your backyard that may be right up against your house that you can't even get to because of the way the builder builds the house. The backyard will be for the benefit of your neighbor next door. Even though it's part of your lot, they'll have an easement over it so they can enjoy that, and their backyard is larger. And then you could have the same thing in your front yard over the other neighbors so that you can have a nice front yard with a driveway and what have you. So those are called Z-lots, and they're very unusual up here. I think they're more common down south where you have more subdivisions on tiny lots. Up here, many of ours are on larger lots where you don't have to do that. But
So the Z-lot is a 0 lot line?
it's like a
A 0 lot line? Yeah, because the wall of the house is your boundary.
Is your boundary.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, I have seen that in other subdivisions around town where the wall, so is that considered?
It would be a 0 lot, but not a Z necessarily. You might just have it in your backyard and not on both sides of your property. And when that does come up, we do provide everyone with a color-coded map that shows where everything's located, which makes it much easier because when you look at it on paper, it's not as easy to grasp it. So you give the picture with the easements plotted and the property plotted, and it makes.
Yeah, that's,
And it
yeah,
helps them, yeah.
yeah, for sure.
The Z-lot, I gotta remember that now. Okay.
So are you, is the company able to get a preliminary title report turned around pretty quickly? I know it's been hectic for everyone.
Yes, it's been a little hectic. The market's been pretty active. Our turnaround time is pretty good on sales. I would say it's just a couple days to get a title report, so it's not too bad. Because, yeah. So we try to crank them out as quick as we can.
So would you say that, I remember when we spoke last time, you were busy, and we were kind of surprised by this COVID, that everyone was busy during the COVID. Now, has it slowed down at all?
I think it has to a degree because the inventory is so tight, but inventory is increasing some. But the refis, we do the refis as well, so we were very impacted by that with the rates dropping to those crazy lows that they did, which was fantastic for everyone. But everyone took advantage of it at the first part of last year. And then towards the end of last year, they took advantage of it again. So we had just a ton of it. So that impacted our service time. Escrow was bogged down. We're bogged down. Appraisers were bogged down. Lenders are bogged. Everybody was bogged down. So that impacts our ability to do sales as well, because we're trying to juggle both refi and sale business. So.
So you've seen definitely a drop in the refi?
Drop in the refis. Yeah, so it's allowed us to provide better service, I believe, for the sales.
Yeah, it's just been, we're busy, it just seems like it's great, but it's.
It's still hard to catch your breath sometimes, right?
It is.
And think.
Yes.
So then there's a lot of agents that typically will order the preliminary title report before they get the listing. And is that a good idea, do you think?
I think it's fine. I think it's a good idea, yes. If I were on your side, I would do it, yes.
Any challenges that
Sooner you get that in your hand,
Right.
the better.
Right.
Okay, great.
Yes, for sure.
Let's see.
Any other helpful things that you could tell us for buyers to do?
Oh, for
Or
buyers.
sellers?
Sellers, just be from the title side, just make sure that your title really is what you believe it is. So maybe do your own checking. If it's a family property especially, just make sure, do a little bit of due diligence prior to signing a listing agreement. Have your trust documents or what have you ready to provide, because everyone's going to want to see those. If there's a power of attorney involved, you need to tell us that right off the bat, and more than likely we will want a new power of attorney, even if there's an existing one.
Okay.
So if you know that a power of attorney is going to be used, that's a good thing to bring to an agent's attention, and then bring it to title and escrow's attention.
Great.
And for buyers, be pre-qualified, right?
That would be,
For sure.
number one.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Any other little tidbits to make the process go smoother?
I don't know, really. For a seller and a buyer, no, just be responsive, I guess, to whatever comes up, and be ready to provide whatever documentation we ask for.
Even though sometimes it doesn't make sense to them. Because I know people get really irritated and frustrated, and it's because it is a very stressful process. And when you get, we need this, we need that, we need,
It's all at
there's a
once,
reason.
yeah.
There's,
Right, and you're right. It is. We all have to remember that when people are buying and selling, it's one of the biggest things they're ever going to do financially, and that just brings stress, even if it goes smooth.
Yes, absolutely.
Even if everything goes smooth, it's
Yes.
just stressful
It's-
for
there's a lot,
them.
yeah.
and it's emotional too.
Yes.
Or it can be very emotional for people if they're leaving their home, and yeah, no, we feel it all. We have many hats like you do.
I bet.
Yeah.
Bet you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you and at Fidelity National Title do a great job, David.
Yep.
And we thank you so much for coming and meeting with us tonight. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate all your
all of-
information.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your help.
Call anytime.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
If you have any other questions, give us a call. I'm at 805-714-8124.
And my number is 805-878-5056. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye. To see more information, go ahead and click on that button, and you can reach me at 805-714-8124.
And my number is 805-878-5056.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye.